Good morning, everybody. It's Nettie Owens with Sapari Solutions Professional Organizing, creator of the Take Control system. And I'm coming to you today with our daily organizing time management productivity tip. I've been answering your biggest questions here, and I'm so excited to get to pull another one. I actually haven't looked at any of these cards, so every day that I pull them, it's just whatever comes up and I answer them on the fly. If you are loving this format, I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. I would encourage you to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're not watching it on YouTube, check us out on LinkedIn. There's a group there that's dedicated just to these kinds of tips and tricks and hacks that have to do with productivity, time management, organization, and systems. So if you go over to LinkedIn and look for me, Nettie Owens, CPOCD, there, then you can enroll in the group, and I'd be happy to get you started there. But every day I've been going through one of these questions, your biggest organizing, time management, and productivity questions, to see how I can help. All right, so we're going to pull, I'm going to shuffle them up a little bit, see what we come up with here. Hopefully we won't get one we've already done before, but if so, we'll just pick another one. Okay, so, oh, this is a good one. Okay, so today's question, I'm going to show it to you, it's going to be backwards, is interruptions. Interruptions, and she clarified, interruptions in person or on the computer or email. Interruptions, great question. I'm so glad that this got asked. So interruptions are such a good opportunity for you to decide what your boundaries are. Think of them as little tests to see if the system is secure. The interruptions are no one else's fault. You don't get to get upset or frustrated by them because interruptions are something that you can actually control. Now there are times, I'm going to give you an exception to this rule. If your job requires that you be on call, then you certainly are going to have a harder time controlling those interruptions. But there are parts of it that you can control, and I would encourage you to be mindful of what's going on in your environment, whether that's on the computer or in your space, that's allowing those interruptions to happen. All right, so let me give you an example. I get this question all the time about interruptions. Our workplace environment at this point is just ripe with interruptions or the ability for them. Many people work in work environments where there are no doors, there's just an open format, and so people could walk in at any time and ask a question. Hey, knock, knock, knock. Hey, Susie, did you know that my dog can sit now when I command him to? And you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. Why am I engaged in this particular conversation? But our workplaces are set up to allow for this constant stream of information. Likewise, our phones and our computers are set up to push notifications to us all the time about whatever is happening next, without any consideration about what you're doing or what's going on. Those notifications are just coming at you all the time, and there's no gradation in priority. It's all the same. The interruptions come through, and it's not, there's no like, oh, this is really important, you should act on this right now. It's just constant. It could be, your mom calling to let you know what's going on this weekend if you're doing a family thing, or it could be a very important report or task that needs to be handled right away. It doesn't matter. It's coming in with the same level of priority. But I said at the beginning that interruptions are something that you can control. The interruption itself has no way of knowing what you're doing. The person on the end of that computer, or the computer that's sending that information right now, has no way of knowing what you're doing. The person on the other side of the door who's knocking or coming into your cubicle doesn't know that you're deep in thought. It's up to you to decide how you want to be interrupted and when you want to be interrupted. It's about setting boundaries. Interruptions are when we allow somebody to come into, or some information to come into our space. And you absolutely have control of that because you get to decide where your space begins and where it ends. And there are times when it's totally appropriate to be available. And what you want to do is you want to determine when you are available for interruptions. And then you need to communicate that to other people. Now, it's easy on the phone because most phones have a setting that allows you to determine when you get notifications. And most applications as well, you can set to notify you when that comes in or notify you on 15-minute increments or whatever setting you want to set for that. The phone itself, you can say silence. Absolutely nothing comes through to the phone until, an hour, 2 hours, whatever time limit you put on there. So in fact, I use that feature when I'm doing Facebook Live because I learned very early on that when that setting wasn't put on, then I would get ping, you have an email, buzz, you have somebody wanting to contact you, and it interrupted the video. Well, they don't know that I'm recording video, so it's not their fault. It's my fault for not setting an appropriate boundary, and so now I do. So that's one way that you can do it with your phone. If you have to be deep in work or you're doing something where you cannot be interrupted, be sure to use that silence setting on your phone so that you do not get notified. Likewise, there are apps that will allow you to do this on your computer so that you're not getting notifications that an email has come through. Hi, Jen. Jen Hickel is phenomenal at systems and at helping you, if you're a local business, helping you to, just do about anything in your business. Jen, I'll like to describe yourself a little bit more here. But we're talking about interruptions. And so if it's not on the computer, it's not on the phone, it's actually a physical person coming into your space, you still have control over when that interruption happens. And think about it this way. When you're constantly being bombarded by people coming in and interrupting your work, you quickly become frustrated. And you don't get frustrated at yourself, typically. I'm just going to throw that out there. Typically what happens is that frustration comes out at the other person. But it's you who's responsible for setting that boundary. So if you haven't set that boundary and said, you know what, this is not a good time for me to talk to you because I'm working on something, then they don't know, and the frustration needs to be centered here. If that's happening a lot, I want to encourage you to shut your door if you have one. And this is not in a mean way. This is not shutting out the world. This is saying I need focus time. And if I get focus time, then I can be 100% available to you when you come in to ask me that question. If you don't have the ability to shut the door, you can put on noise canceling headphones and somehow either through an email communication to others around you or through a notice, maybe it's on the back of your chair. I don't know how you might be set up to say, I will be available from 11 to noon if you have any questions or if there's something you want to address. I'm just going to read this really quickly because you should definitely know about Jen Hickel. She helps local businesses with their websites, SEO, and online marketing, and she's just great at business advice, period, so pick her brain. She's all about boundaries, and she says everything that I'm talking about. We can be more generous with boundaries. Yes, Jen, we absolutely can be more generous when we have boundaries. Thank you for that. So if you're finding that you're not getting done the important things that you need to do, then you need to set some boundaries that will allow you to be fully present to whatever question is coming through, to whatever work you're doing right now. And maybe it's a matter of starting with 20 minutes. 20 minutes of designated time that's uninterrupted time. And then you can expand that. Maybe you shut your door in the morning because that's your productivity time, and you're available on the lunch hour when you're already taking a break. Whatever works for you, but you need to determine when you are open to interruptions. That that responsibility falls to you. You can use systems and technology when it comes to your phone or to your computer, and then you need to communicate to other people, when it's appropriate, but also still have that boundary. Because if there is no boundary, then people won't realize that they're coming into your space. It's important for you to know that. Think about, for instance, a house, and the house has a fence around it. You know exactly where the property line begins and ends, and whether it's appropriate to set foot on that other person's property. If there's no fence around it, you could come onto the property and the property owner would say, "Hey, wait a minute, this is my property. What are you doing? Why are you on here?" In all honesty, you can say, "I didn't realize. I didn't know I was coming into your space." That property owner needs to say, "This is mine, and I can invite you into my space, and I can give you wonderful attention when you're here with me, when I've invited you. But if I haven't invited you, then it's really not appropriate for you to come into that space." All right, that is your tip for today. It's about understanding when you can set boundaries to handle interruptions that come in so that you're in control of when those interruptions happen. As I said, if you'd like more tips, if you'd like them to be delivered right to your email box, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, there should be a button right about there for you to subscribe. And I will be happy to keep sharing with you. If you feel like you could use a little bit of help in your workplace to address some of these issues, either with yourself or your coworkers, or as a manager, if there's something that you would like assistance with in order to make your workplace more productive for your employees, I would welcome a conversation, and I'd love to talk to you to see how that might play out. You can call me at 443-904-5412, or just message me here and I'll be happy to talk to you and get connected that way. Nettie Owens with Sapari Solutions, and I'll see you tomorrow.